Thank you, Chairwoman Jackson Lee and Chairman Adler and Ranking Member Biggs for holding this hearing today. I'm pleased to welcome all the witnesses this morning, but especially want to thank my friend Brett Peterson, Director of the Utah Division of Juvenile Justice Services, for joining us today. I had the opportunity several years ago to move to Utah, where I fulfilled a 3-decades-old dream to work with at-risk youth. I started a nonprofit helping young boys and girls successfully transition from juvenile detention. It was Brett's JJS team that gave us the opportunity and framework to combine collaborative support from the state, educational institutions, including curriculum support from Utah Valley University, small businesses, Utah Home Builders Association, other respected corporations, and our greatest resource, community volunteerism. Second Chance for Youth now serves 3 facilities. We've had young men transition to higher education, including University of Utah and Salt Lake City Community College, begin careers, and most importantly, gain access to lifelong mentorship. I received a call last week from a young man who was part of our very first class. He now has a career, he's raising his family. He called me to follow up on my promise to introduce him to a specialist in the financial field to help him understand how to plan, save, and invest. I want to take this opportunity to publicly thank Brett, his JJS team, and my fellow Utahns for the remarkable hearts that they have for our youth. Before I begin my questioning to Mr. Peterson about the success of Utah's juvenile system, let me state that we need to be seeking state-centric solutions. Let best practice models coming from states like Utah and others drive this process, and our youth will win big time. And by the way, from personal experience, all these curriculum and intervention activities were all based on, all evidence-based. I also want to take a few minutes just to thank Aaron. Your voice, young man, is invaluable. You're going to give hope to so many youth that need to hear that if I can do it, you can do it. So thank you very much. Ms. Peterson, when we talk about early intervention, what does that specifically look like in Utah? And can you give me some examples of effective early intervention?
Thank you, Congressman Owens. I think in any justice reform effort, there's often this question of now what? In other words, we used to have in Utah, for example, we had a very broad filter or funnel. Everything from very low-risk offenses to high-risk offenses were coming through the same doorways. They were coming through detention centers and courtrooms. And recognizing that we intentionally had to shrink that doorway, which we did. And now we have to say, how are we now going to flow resources towards the community? How are we going to serve people in their home schools and communities to help them thrive? So for us, what we stood up is our JJS Youth Services model. Truly what this is a no wrong door approach to early intervention. So it doesn't matter who refers to us, whether it's child welfare, whether it's a school, whether it's a parent, whether it's a youth walking in themselves, whether it's law enforcement. Regardless of how a youth comes to our door on this very front end, they can be sure that they're going to have, a dedicated case manager or plan manager. They're going to be allowed and afforded evidence-based screening tools, evidence-based assessments. And then the real game changer, because of reform, we're able to provide services on the very front end for youth and families. That was a tragedy of the juvenile justice system and the child welfare system. Before you could actually get to sometimes the more formal approaches of treatment, you had to be in the system. We're trying to flip that, and we're having success. So today, I want to highlight just a couple things. Our court referrals are down. Our non-judicial diversions are up. Our detention admissions are down significantly. I have less than 50 youth, about 50 youth in locked detention today, statewide. Our graduation rate's up. Certainly that's not all attributed to JJS. It's a system effort, Department of Human Services and collaborative with our partners in the courts and the schools. And what this corresponded with on a federal level is the Family First Prevention Services Act, which unlocked and gave us the ability to now access federal dollars for prevention work. That was a game changer, and it continues to be a game changer. So thank you for that question.
In the last few seconds we have, you mentioned 26% reduction in risk level for incarcerated youth. What was responsible for that reduction in Utah?
Thank you, Representative Owens. First, it really does start with reform. We have to make sure we weren't locking up low-risk youth. So in Utah, before reform, about half of the youth in my populations, incarcerated populations, were there. They were relatively low risk. They were there for contempt. They were there for maybe even, some types of misdemeanors, property crimes. So we had to stop that. We had to stop that pathway into the system. We had to really be looking at what's going to actually improve public safety. So we've done that. And today, when I look at my long-term incarcerated population, actually, not today, but Friday, May 7th, I had 72 youth total statewide in those settings. So that's step one. After we did that, we had to re-gear and reinvent our entire operations, focused on, we knew from the literature and the research, the amount of treatment we had to deliver for a youth. We knew what would impact various criminogenic risks. We had to reinvent our entire operations subject to that linchpin, that point. So making sure every youth is getting the right amount of treatment, every youth is getting the right amount of dosage in the right way. And we set out with this ambitious goal of 25% reduction in the risk to reoffend by 2021. And I'm excited to be able to report that that's actually at 26%. So we beat our goal just barely. So thank you for that question.
I won't reel back my time. I just said thank you for your work, and this is the way we should look at best practices, and all our states can benefit from it. So thank you again, Ms. Priest, appreciate it.